I think we can get it started. So I'll have to go through the remote script. As a preliminary matter, this is Shashi Menon, Chairman of the Council on Aging Board. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Barbara DiPaolo?
Well, she's muted.
All right, here.
But Virginia Leonard is going to be late. Louise Russell?
Here.
Zoya Mehta?
Here.
Norma is not going to be calling in. That leaves us with Betsy Zoig.
Here.
Now, the staff, we've got Holly, Director of the COA Department.
Present.
Christine Moriarty. She's not coming. She's not going to be in, or she's going.
She's just finishing up with a call. She'll be popping in.
So a little delayed. And Elizabeth Peter Leichner.
Here.
Okay. Good morning. This open meeting of the board of the Council on Aging Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded, so that the public meeting is so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the board is convening by Google Meeting as posted on the town website, identifying how the public may join. Please be sure to press *6 to mute your device. This meeting will not feature public comment. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. To begin the meeting, the first item on the meeting is a review of the minutes from the last meeting. Does anybody have any corrections or comments to make before we put it to a vote? Louise, you're muted. Louise, you got to unmute your phone.
Yes, I had just on the financial reports, I think they're probably just typos. I went back and looked at the last month's expense and current expenses, and some of them don't match. And I don't know what the difference is. First, the gift account, I think it should be 38 instead of 30. I think that's just a typo. There's 38,000 instead of 30,000. The DOT account and the formula grant, I had a hard time understanding what the total was. And I don't know how to go, the others all seem to be correct or coincide with the last report we got. But the figures for the formula grant and the DOT account don't match up with the figures that we got last month. So that's why and as I say, the gift account, I think that's just a typo. It should be an 8 instead of a 0. I also...
Barbara, do you want to take an action to go and revise that? Barbara, you had to unmute the phone if you want to say something. Barbara.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you understand Louise's observation?
Well, I guess I have to go back and see. What happened was I was in Arizona. So I watched the video, So could someone resend me the numbers? Christine, could you resend me the numbers and I'll adjust the minutes? But I was in Arizona, so I watched the video and that's probably why I didn't get it correct.
That's what I figure. It was just a matter of transforming the figures, but I think we need to correct these.
That's
There was
fine.
also, there was also another issue under 5B. The last sentence, excuse me, go back. It said we're talking about the policy and user procedure review. The last sentence that would be looking at the town of Sharon's bylaws, that sentence was used in the report about Kevin's report to us. It wasn't under the policy and usual and user procedure. Sorry about that. And I don't see any other mention of that comment that Carly, you gave the report from what Kevin had reported to us, and the Sharon bylaws were included in that discussion. I would like to see more detail about what Kevin said. His report to the board, I think, should be reported in the minutes.
I only watched the video of the meeting.
No, I understand, Barbara. No, I understand, yes. But Holly, I think maybe can provide you with that information. And Holly's the one that gave the report. And then
Yes.
referred us to Sharon's bylaws.
Yep. So I can, Barbara, I can call you.
Excuse me,
in the next-
Holly. Excuse me, Holly. Louise, are you done? Louise,
Yes,
are you done?
yes, I am.
One other quick thing there. We are restricting the minutes to what was actually discussed. Now, if that's the case, the fact that Holly did not present, or whatever that was, we're only going to include in the minutes those items that were actually discussed. Am I correct? Is that something we actually discussed?
Yes. Yes,
Holly's, yeah, I think Holly has something to say about that.
I think we just touched upon it briefly. There wasn't a big discussion. It was a comment from me to the board. So, I mean, it was talked about in our agenda meeting. So I think that there should be at least be something, a bullet item regarding what I mentioned, and I can work with Barbara to make sure that the minutes actually reflect at least the topic. Maybe not the back and forth, because there wasn't a lot of back and forth dialogue.
Louise, you have any comments? I mean,
yes, I just think, as Holly said, I think there should be a mention of what she had. There was not a lot of discussion, but it was an important message from the town manager to the board. And I think that should be probably a separate paragraph, which also included looking at the town of Sharon's bylaws.
I distinctly remember the town of Sharon being mentioned. Is that included in the minutes right now? I mean, okay.
But it's included under the policy and user procedure, which was not where it was mentioned. It was mentioned under the report given from Kevin to the board.
So where do we stand now?
I think if Holly puts in a paragraph about that, what she said, and give that to Barbara, that would be fine.
So we can make that, Barbara, is that you okay with that?
I'll do anything.
Oh, can I quote you on that? All right.
No. I'll do
But
anything
anyway.
to the minutes that you want me to do.
Yes. That's fine. I mean, if Holly is willing to write a sentence or two, very crisply explaining what you talked about, because we want to limit the minutes to what was actually discussed. the fact that we deserve or should have had a more detailed report, that should not belong in the minutes, only what was actually discussed.
Oh,
So
yes,
you can
that's
do
right.
that. Okay.
Just
let's
what,
move
just
along.
what was presented by Holly.
As
Just-
presented, right. Exactly. That's good. Thank you, Louise. As presented, yeah. I have one, go ahead, Barbara.
Who is one, who is 1781?
I
That's
believe
Jim
that's,
Leonard. It's me, Virginia.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I had you as present. at
Okay,
the meeting.
I had a little trouble getting onto the very first minute of the meeting.
I have a question. It lists Mark Serra as the minute lists Mark Serra as being present last month, but I have a vague recollection that Christine did the actual recording. Is that correct? Did I miss it?
That is correct. That's correct. So Mark Sarah should be strike from the being an attendant.
Right.
But
That's the way I remember.
did you notice that I gave him the right title?
Yes, that you did. Congratulations. But I think Mark wasn't the one who did the recording last month. I think it was Christine. So with those corrections in place, are we ready to vote on accepting the minutes? Louise?
We need a motion. I move that we accept the minutes as amended.
Second,
I'll take a roll call vote now. Zoya Mehta? Accept?
yes.
Okay. Louise?
Yes,
Betsy?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes,
Barbara?
Yes,
Motion is passed. Motion and the minutes are accepted. We'll move on to the next item which is the financial report. Christine, you're on.
Okay. So as always, starting with the fiscal year 21 budget summary as of May 10th, 2021. Our formula grant has $27,354.51. Our DOT grant has $12,881.38. The taxi livery grant still has $19,962. The gift fund has $38,458.07. The revolving account has $23,600.42. And our general fund has $11,281.46. Does anybody have any specific questions about the budget breakdown for any of the accounts?
I have a question. I'm comparing last month to this month, and it seems as though in April, the formula grant had $32,019.32. In May, it's dropped 5,000 to 27,354.51. So that's like a $5,000 drop change. Now, the formula grant, now correct, somebody needs to fill me in on this. That is the money that we get from the state of Massachusetts, right? The formula grant. So is that come in on a monthly basis? Is it come in on how often? Is it 1 year? How does it work?
It comes in as a lump sum. So we use the change might be that you're seeing is that we use it for payroll. So each pay period, half of my salary, Pat and Donna's entire salaries come out as a formula grant, which averages to about between $2,100 and $2,200 per pay period. So there's $5,000 would have been 2 pay periods plus the Northeast IT payment this month. So it doesn't look like we're doing as much, but if you look at the top, the very first line of the budget breakdown is payroll. So far, we've expensed $45,903.36 just in payroll.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Next month, we can expect the formula grant to be down by another 4 or 5,000? This is going to be a steady progression downwards until the fund gets replenished by the state? Is this correct?
Correct. Well, so normally we would have to spend it down to zero by the end of the fiscal year anyway, so by June 30th.
Gotcha.
This year, fortunately, they're allowing the remaining balance to roll over. So we do anticipate on having money left over, which is fantastic, and we're very excited to be able to utilize it next year for programming. But this has been a standard practice, at least since I've been here, that half of my salary, again, and Pat and Donna's entire salary, unless they're driving the vans, which is a little stipulation there, comes entirely from the formula grant.
I'm ready to move on to the next topic. For you to continue, Christine. I don't have any further questions.
Does
Unless
anybody else
somebody else
have a
does.
question on the budget breakdown for any of the accounts?
No.
Now, the taxi livery was a grant, was it not? So
It is a grant, yep.
do we get to carry that over too if you don't use it?
No. So for that particular one, we do get it in installments. So we received the first $20,000 installment. We used $38 for a couple trips early on. And then I did get the bill for this month. So that's about another $1,100, I think, that will come out of there. And then at some point we will receive the remaining $25,000 to equal $45,000 for that grant. But it does have to be utilized by the end of the calendar year, Holly? By December 31st.
At which time it reverts back to whoever the grantor is. So is it the state?
That's DOT, but we are also going to contact them just to see if there's any opportunities for us to use the grant money for anything additional that might be related to using our vehicles and things like that. But not ready to comment further beyond that until we have something back from the DOT.
All right. I think we can move on. Unless somebody has any other questions. Go ahead, Christine.
No, if there's no further questions, that's it for the financial reports. Very simple this month.
Yes, let me look.
Shashi?
Yes, go ahead.
I actually do have just something that I want to bring up to the board's attention. So we all know that Christine will be, expecting soon. So I request that the board be very lenient with me, that my updates might not be as thorough as Christine's have been in the past, however many months. But I do want to let everybody know that the accounting and the treasurer's department have both, agreed to help me out with the bills and invoices along with everything else that I have to do in the next couple months. So again, I will do my very, very best, but Christine has set the bar very high as far as that goes. So I just want to give the board just so you know, be nice to me.
So you're going to be covering for Christine while she's out on maternity? Is that the plan, Holly?
Well, the plan is, I'm really hoping she's still here for June, because she's expecting in July. But yes, so when Christine is out, I'll be the one that's updating everybody on the different accounts. And with it being a new fiscal year, our accounts will be a little bit higher. So thankfully, it will be, I think, a little bit easier on my part. So Christine, thank you at least for planning that part for me. But yes, so that I will be taking over both Christine and Elizabeth's position, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. Shashi, the next thing on the agenda was to talk about the Finance Committee FY22 budget report. And if I may, I just like to roll right into that.
Go right ahead.
So one of the things is not much has changed since my last update, except for the fact that the town did approve for the override of the $305,000 and change. And basically the only thing that affects COA is the outreach position going from 32 hours to 37.5. So there's really nothing more to report other than that will be coming out of the general fund. So I will be at the town meeting on the 22nd, just in case there are any questions that might come up from the town, from the community. But really, that's the only thing that is changing on ours.
All right, does anyone have any questions? If not, we can move on to the next item, which is the director's report.
Yep, so I'm gonna let up.
Elizabeth?
Hi, everyone. So before I get going in regards to some updates on programs and grants, I wanted to just take a quick moment just to let everyone know that my last day as the COA Outreach Coordinator will be next Friday, May 21st. I received a very unexpected but really amazing opportunity that is the right move for me to make for my family at this time. But I really wanted to emphasize the fact that I've had such a really amazing experience here, and we have such a great team over here at the COA and the Senior Center. And I really hope that the relationships that I've established working, with various members of our community will remain. And so please don't hesitate to reach out over this next, week and a half, and, even after the fact with any questions or any ways that I can be of more of a support. So thank you all so much. I've appreciated all of you in a lot of different ways. So thank you. All right, jumping right into it. So in regards to programming, so our COVID calls have really subsided now that all of the ages are eligible and most sites have walk-in availability. They've really kind of decreased our caseload, which has been nice. Wellness calls are going well. I've spoken with the 2 volunteers that we still have kind of had helping us throughout COVID make these calls on a weekly basis. And so they know of the hierarchical procedure to, refer all of their notes to Holly, at least until further notice. The Pen Pal program is actually going to be able to continue over the summer. We had a very large number of students reach out from the Shrewsbury High community that are going to be interested in maintaining that program throughout the summer. So we're kind of going to shift gears away from our Sherwood 6th graders to some high schoolers, at least for the summer months. And if they'd like to continue writing, over the course of next year, then they'll have that opportunity too as well. So we're excited that that will be able to continue. I'll be putting together some initial packets of just some basic writing paper and utensils to make sure that all the students have supplies ready to go for the beginning, hopefully of June, beginning or mid-June. And then the last program update that I wanted to just touch on is that Selco is actually going to be running another COVID relief program. So it's very similar to Share the Warmth in almost every aspect of it, in regards to the goal and how the process of applying for will be held, with a couple exceptions. So this program is going to be aimed at residents who did not participate in Share the Warmth. So if people had participated in that program previously, they would not be eligible for this one. And they also will have to show physical documentation of a direct financial impact as a result of the pandemic. And so basically what we would do is we would help people who are eligible and meet those 2 requirements fill out the basic application, have them sign it, take photocopies of their documents, and bring those over to Selco. The kind of hitch here is that it's going to be a very quick turnaround. This program is only going to be running from June 1st to June 30th. So it's going to be very quick, but Selco feels really strongly that they wanted to offer some additional support to those residents. And the other thing to note too about this program is it's not just for seniors, which is exciting. So it's open to all of our community residents that, again, would fit those 2 requirements of not participating in Share the Warmth and having that financial hardship documented.
How are you getting the word out?
So Selco is advertising. They just asked if we would kind of help them with the application process, which since we do the Share the Warmth application, it was a no-brainer. It's a very, very simple application. It's literally just, name, address, phone number, again, the financial requirements and a signature. So The COA was happy to help them promote that, at least for our senior residents. But I believe that Selco is handling the advertisements because they didn't ask us to do any of that.
And is Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services involved?
We, Holly and I actually had our triad meeting yesterday for the month of May, and SYFS was there, and they were fully aware of this program as well.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Okay, so I'll move right along then to my grant portion. So again, our AARP Community Challenges grant aimed at the Yahoo program. We're going to hear back for hopefully beginning of June, so fingers crossed. We're really optimistic, and Holly and I have been kind of preparing some, notices and flyers in hopes that, we'll get awarded some portion of what we had applied for. So stay tuned on that. In regards to the Shared Streets grant, we have actually officially got the account all squared away, and we have been able to order all of the supplies that we've needed to. So we've met our May 30th deadline of implementing this program, which is great. So the benches, which will be installed at several of our public schools and a couple of our public spaces around town, should hopefully be arriving in 3 to 4 weeks. I had reached out to the vendor on Monday, and I'm still waiting to hear back on an exact time of when they think that the benches will be here. And those will be being stored over at Oak School. So we've been working with the buildings department on that. So that will be all squared away. We're in the process too of putting together a flyer to have some volunteers come and help us assemble the benches. So we won't be, involved in the installation. We will have our DPW department help with that, just because it needs to be ADA certified and concrete. So we're going to let them handle that portion, but we'd love to help in the assembly. So we're going to try and find some volunteers throughout the community that would be willing to help us with that, probably over the summer. And yeah, in addition to that, so that's one portion of the Shared Streets is our benches and our safe walking initiative. The other half is our senior SALT program. So we have also been able to order all of the supplies for that program as well. And that's being stored split between our facility, or our shed, I should say, and the Oak Street garage as well. So the buildings department has been really, really generous with allowing us to store our supplies there. But in lieu of that, Holly and I were thinking that instead of waiting, since we have all of these supplies, including salt buckets, plastic scoops, shovels, and walking vests, we have all of these supplies ready to go. Instead of waiting until, November or December to offer them to our residents, we're going to put together a couple days over the summer in which we'll have residents who would be interested in kind of receiving a bundle or a package of these supplies, we could say, would be able to kind of come either to our center or to Oak Street, but probably at our center. We'd love to have it here, and do almost like a grab and go sort of pickup option for this. So that's how we're going to advertise that. We have some flyers that are actually going to go in our June newsletter, and we'll probably continue in the rest of the summer months too, just so we can start kind of getting those out to residents in need so they can start preparing. I know it's only May, but it's already May. This year's going by really quick. So I feel like it'd be better to get everything squared away and have all the supplies stored and ready to go for the winter. So that's kind of our goal with, our supplies and how we're going to be distributing that and getting the word out. And then the last notion I had that I just wanted to touch on for this is that I had mentioned that the implementation deadline was May 30th. There's a report that's due June 30th. And so what I've been able to do is reach out to mass.gov, who is the, inhabitor of this grant, and let them know, of our situation and how Holly will kind of be the next point of contact. And so they were able to send me all of the report questions. And so I've been able to complete essentially everything on the report. Of course, with some exceptions of final details that, if things change that Holly can edit or add in. So I'll make sure that Holly has that, and that will be all ready to go. So we're, meeting the deadlines as they come. And yeah, that's everything on my end. If there are any questions, I'm more than happy.
Yes, the raised bed gardening project, is that under your jurisdiction?
Not necessarily, right, Holly? Not under outreach. I know that the Boy Scout, we have an Eagle Scout coming in to help with that building process. I'm not 100% sure on when that will be occurring.
No. Once the things are actually built, you want to have a project with involving seniors to grow something in there. Go ahead, Holly.
Yes, so the Eagle Scout is actually coming in June to build it and have it, you know, already erected, ready to go. So in the July newsletter, there'll be a mention of, you know, people like having seniors come in. We'll have all the supplies ready to go. But I don't want to put the cart before the horse. So I want to make sure the Eagle Scout is actually here. And doing those things before I make too many announcements and our phones are ringing more than they already are.
Louise?
Yes, Elizabeth, how many people are eligible, or how many packets do you have of that winter things?
That's a great question. I had that written down. Thank you, Louise. We have 50. So we're gonna we've bundled all the supplies we have for our salt options. So we have 50 in total. So like if someone would like to come and get, you know, a bucket of salt, we're gonna really strongly encourage to take a shovel, a scoop, and a vest, so we can, like I said, kind of bundle them in that way, and you know, again, get these supplies out to people in the community that need it. And another thing too that I have written down and didn't say was that for the salt, we want it to be equitable in the sense that we have regular salt options and we also have pet safe salt options. So depending on what, you know, the resident would prefer or, you know, need based on, you know, pets or no pets, we can kind of be accessible in that way too.
Oh, good. Thank you, Elizabeth. And
No
thank
problem.
you for all you have done. You have been wonderful in this position. We're going to miss
I
you.
think Barbara had a question.
Thank you.
Barbara?
No, I just wanted to say thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. We're going to miss you.
Thank you, Barbara.
And good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. And thank you for your help and everything you've done. Good luck in your new venture.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it all.
Holly, you're on.
I saw Zoya's hands up. I just wanted to make sure that she had an opportunity
Oh,
to
I'm sorry, I
say.
missed that. So
It was just to tell Elizabeth, thank you so much and wishing you all the best in your new venture.
Thank you very much, Zoe. I appreciate it. It was very nice to meet you too, mask to mask on Friday.
It was.
Okay, so I'll move on to the nutrition program and we'll start with the grab and go updates, specifically the January to April meals that the COA ended up paying for. So with Christine's numbers that she gave back to me, so there was 1,777 meals that were given out from the COA for the grab and go meals. January was 257. I'll go a little slow for you, Barbara. February was 406. March was 628. And April was 486, which still leaves us a total in our Feed a Senior Fund portion of that, $1,482.50 left. Which is always a good thing because if we need to purchase some supplies and things like that, that's always very good. But, I think the Feed a Senior program that we launched back, I think it started originally back in September. We've issued out a lot of meals through the grab and go. I spoke with Beth this morning, and right now we even have more grab and go meals every day than we did even people attending congregate. And our days pretty much fluctuate anywhere between 16 to 25 meals a day that are happening still even just for May, even without paying for those meals. So people are definitely taking advantage of our grab and go. And from what I can see in the foreseeable future is we'll continue with the grab and go just because it is so successful, and put off the congregate dining. You know, I don't want to put a timeline on it, but when something, you know, isn't broken, don't fix it. So I'd rather utilize the dining area for other social activities until the time changes and we have to kind of change our ways. Does anybody have any questions on any of the grab and go portion of that? Okay, going forward, so as we spoke about a couple of months ago and ongoing, we did receive some money from MCOA's grant for our nutrition program. And what we've been able to do with some of the funds that we told them that we would do was we bought both paper and plastic bags. So when people come into our food pantry, we can properly bag those up and give those to people. We've also purchased some extra gloves, so we make sure we have safe food handling. Last week, I spent a considerable amount of time at Home Depot and was finally able to put in the order for a refrigerator, which should be getting delivered sometime this week. And it's, again, just a small refrigerator to keep those little extra produce things, you know, chilled when we get those. What we may end up doing also, just to kind of, you know, make sure that we keep the rodents away, is we may keep like those granola bars and cake mixes in the refrigerator also. Otherwise, if for some reason we can't do that, I'll probably stop handing out those items because I don't want our storage area to become anything but a food pantry and a storage area. The other thing is I also did put in a special order for 50 counter microwaves from Home Depot. I'm expecting those to also be delivered at the same time with the refrigerator, I'm hoping. So after we get off this call, I actually have a meeting with ESWA because I just want to make sure. So initially, my thought is to put a flyer together for our Meals on Wheels clients that says we have these microwaves available, and if you need a microwave, to please call us. But I want to make sure that I work with ESWA and make sure, you know, I have all my I's dotted because of HIPAA and things like that. So I will definitely keep the board posted on how that conversation goes. It seemed like I was.
So as a question,
Holly, my question was, you have microwaves ordered. If you don't have enough people to give it to, will the company take it back?
No, so basically what we had to do is we have to spend the grant money by the end of this month and submit all of the invoices. So they won't take anything back. They just want to see that we actually purchase those specific items. The only thing left to purchase that Christine and I are working on is what we want to repurchase and reorder some additional meals from Heart to Home to replenish the ones that we have. But before we do that, we really want to push out the meals that we have currently. So we make sure that we have a big fresh. We may even try to put off having that order delivered to us until later on in the summer, just because it seems as though the winter is where the meals are needed most. So we're still, like I said, we still need to make that relationship with Heart to Homes to see if we can do a pre-order and then have it delivered at a later date. So I will definitely keep the board posted on that. Let me think. Oh, so right before we move on, actually it's still director's update, and now I'm done with the nutrition program. But so one of the things that everybody knows is that the storage area over at the senior center is very limited for us. So we've had to get creative as far as, you know, where we're putting everything. And The shed in the back is fantastic for things that we don't need to get to on a daily or weekly basis. So right now we're utilizing that shed area for like the shared winter streets materials, the salts and the shovels and things like that. But so what we have decided to do is I've asked Beth over from the nutrition program to clean out that work area that she has of anything that is not relevant to that was not previously owned by the senior center or the council on aging. So she's been working on that. She'll have that cleaned out by the 21st. And so what we've decided to do is take out the Friends of materials out of our storage area and put that in the back room. So the Friends of will have their own spot where all of their things are. Maria came over a couple of days ago. We walked the space. She's completely in agreement with the move. We looked at some of the cupboards that are inside room B. And I explained to her that, you know, a lot of those cupboards could be utilized by the Friends of, which would be, you know, that would be accommodating to them since many of their activities happen in those two rooms. So what we're going to do with the space that we're saving from the Friends of materials moving is we're going to move the durable medical equipment into that part of the storage room. And because right now there's an overflow in the medical room that we have. And the other reason for being is that storage area is strictly COA and senior center materials. So I feel as though only the COA staff should have keys and are able to get into the food pantry or the medical equipment or anything like that. So that's where all of those things will be stored. So we'll finally have a rhyme and reason, just the way things are kind of put out at the senior center. I invite one of you, if you,
Could everybody mute except for Holly, because I'm getting incredible feedback and I'm having a lot of trouble trying to take notes. Somebody's got everybody mute except the person talking. Even Virginia, even Sashi, everybody mute instead of Holly, please. Sashi, could you mute? Virginia, could you mute? I think it might be Virginia that's giving us the feedback.
I don't know how I'm giving you feedback. I'm on a landline.
Can you mute?
I can try. I'm not too sure if I'm mute, if I'm going to hear anything.
No, you'll hear something. We won't hear your feedback.
I haven't been talking, so I don't know how I can get feedback.
I know.
I don't think it's Virginia. I think it's Shashi. Shashi, can you mute me, please?
Mine does not want to let me mute. Where do you mute this?
So if you move your
bottom.
mouse around the screen, there's a white bar that comes up at the bottom, and you just hit the little microphone icon. You can also hit Control B on your keyboard.
Yeah, I'll try that because there's no microphone icon on mine.
Well, when I'm taking the notes, there's somebody's making a ton of noise and I can't hear what Holly's saying.
There we go. Okay, so just moving forward, thank you, Barbara. So with the move of making, trying to utilize the storage area over at the senior center the best that we can, it seems as though it's going to be working. I'd invite any of you to come on over to the senior center just so we can show you, so you can see firsthand on how we've arranged the senior center so it's a safe environment for anybody that comes in. We've moved all of the lobby furniture out and we've placed it into the craft room. So the craft room is not being used by anybody except for storage. Of course, you can go in, you can get your craft items, if anybody had an activity or program going on previous to COVID. But we're just trying to prohibit any kind of lounging to happening over at the senior center. And so if you were to walk in, you would see side room A has 6 tables set up, all with plexiglass partitions. Side room B, we have dots on the floor. We're going to be utilizing that side for exercise. So the dots show where everybody's supposed to have their own space. The lobby area also has some tables set up with plexiglass. We have the receptionist. We have a table set up right outside of the reception area. So basically in the lobby area where we've actually started having receptionists come in this past Monday. So they've been answering the phones for us, and just a great treat, not only just to have somebody assist us with the phone calls, but to see those faces that we haven't seen in 14 months. So it's been fantastic having our receptionist back in. So, there's a bunch of policies and procedures that I won't get into now. I think we already have them written down. We've already reviewed those, but the receptionists are aware of those. We do have our tents set up outside. We have 2 20 by 30 tent setups outside, one on the grass, one over the pavement. We also have put up road barriers blocking off the circle entrance so that people can come out and be able to sit outside and not worry about through traffic going on out there. We had a little delay on our picnic table, so now it looks like it's going to be next week, but they are coming, which is okay because Mother Nature has kept it a little cool for us this week and a little rainy, so we haven't had anybody like really looking to come in, although we did have our first grief and support group come in yesterday, so they were here, so they utilized outside. So that again was nice to see, just people coming back. So I'm just going to stay on track with the rest of the agenda. So D is activity programs, indoor and outdoor. Later in the afternoon yesterday, I sent out a black and white copy of what the June newsletter will look like. I don't know if everybody received that copy, but there is a page in there that shows the June 2021 events that we have scheduled so far. So it shows where they are, what side. I just want to remind everybody that for anybody that wants to come in and take part in any of those activities, that you must call ahead of time to make sure that there are still spots available. And anybody that comes in for a program, they are going to be required to fill out a My Senior Center card form. And if, again, in the newsletter on the second page, I kind of went into a little bit what the My Senior Center card form was about, just so people had a little bit of awareness before they come in. Basically, again, it's just your easy information. There's actually a COVID page now. As soon as you come in and you swipe on, it asks you, how are you feeling today? Have you been sick or anything like that? But basically it will allow us, God forbid, if somebody does get sick or COVID does happen in the senior center, we can contact anybody that's been in the center and notify them accordingly.
Holly, are you going to require vaccination cards?
No, we are not allowed to ask anybody if they've been vaccinated. We're not allowed to tell anybody in the public what staff members have been vaccinated. That is not something that we will be doing. So we will still be taking the precautions of everybody. You still have to wear your masks. Even if you've been vaccinated, you still have to follow our policies and our guidelines. And I just want to put out there, even if Governor Baker says that he's lifting the masks and things like that, we can still ask people to wear their masks at the center. So it's going to be a slow moving transition when that happens. But we'll update the policies and procedures, as necessary. But like I said, a lot of moving parts for sure.
Toya, go ahead.
Holly, earlier with the painting class in the side room, there was a lot of conflict with the other groups who are using the room about paints being dropped on the ground and the chairs having. So that is something that we need to address, that the same complaint doesn't come from other people who are using the room.
Sure. So one of the things that, and again, I'm a broken record here. COVID's been a curse for obvious reasons, but COVID's been a blessing because we've been able to fix the things that were broken previous to COVID. So we have essentially wiped out the entire activity program calendar that existed prior to COVID, and we are starting over a clean slate. Anybody that comes in that instructs a program or an activity, or every program and activity needs to have somebody that is responsible for that program or activity. So they need to fill out a form saying that they're going to be in charge of whatever that group is, which means making sure that things are cleaned up afterwards. That way we have a contact person responsible for each activity. And again, I just want to reiterate, the things that were happening before are no longer happening now. So there's a whole new policy and procedure as to how people are going to be able to book rooms and things like that. Because one of the other things that I want to avoid is having 4 yoga exercises all in the same week. I want to make sure that we're offering an array of different activities for everybody. Different levels, intermediate, beginners, and on from there. So we definitely have taken exactly what you said, Zoya, into consideration, and all of those things are changing because of the forms that we have that people will be required to fill out. Christine has some.
I just want to point out that at this time, we don't have a painting group that's coming back. The only craft groups include adult coloring, which is mostly just crayons, markers, and colored pencils, knitting, and hand quilting. So I'm open to having someone come in and teach or facilitate a painting club. But at this time, no one has reached out to lead that program. So painting is not a concern at this time.
Yeah, and I just want to mention that if that club does come, that will be happening in the side room A. It won't be in the craft room because we want to make sure there's enough space, enough ventilation, enough areas for everybody to be safe. And I also do want to mention, unfortunately, we did have the Board of Health come on over here just to look at our setup and with the guidelines that are still in place. We are not yet able to open to board games or cards or anything like that inside the center. Outside the center is a little less strict. So once the picnic tables come in, if people want to come in and play cards outside, that will be fine. But as far as indoors, we're not able to open for that yet. But we certainly will let people know because we do receive the phone calls.
Holly, I have a question regarding the My Senior Center card. Couple of questions. One is the people who already have it do not need to do anything. They just have to bring it with them, right? Those
Correct.
old cards still work.
Correct. No, they don't need a new one.
The second question is, there are 2 categories of people who don't have this card. One is the people who simply did not get it. Then there was a small group of people who refused to get it because they didn't want to disclose things like their age or whatever it was. They didn't want to put it down. Do you have a procedure handling such people? I mean, are they going to be denied access?
So at this time, we are making it mandatory that anybody that comes into the center has a senior card. And for that reason, as I already mentioned, because if somebody gets sick inside, we want to be able to, contact them. There is a lot of information that people can opt out of on there. So if they just want to give us their name and phone number, at least we can get a hold of them. If they don't want to give us their age, that's fine. There's also some things as next of kin, but all of those questions that are on the form are super important because if something happens, God forbid, somebody falls, whether it's from their own, unsteady gait or something falls on them here and, they're taken away in an ambulance, we want to be able to get on their My Senior Center card and call their daughter, husband, son, whomever they might have, the next person to contact, because it's a lot easier. And that has happened. I've been here for 14 months. And even in the first 2 months, we had to make those emergency phone calls to family members. So people can opt out of that information, but that information we don't share with anybody. That's in case of emergencies. We don't share with outside organizations or anything like that. And the other thing is, the card is super important for us. So when we get that money from the state each year, and let's just say Louise comes for, 5 days of yoga and she's here for the entire year, and Betsy does painting, like I can take all of those statistics and I put them all together and I send it off for the information that I need to get from my grant. I don't give the names out, but it's just like, oh, there were 10 people that attended paint. There were 10 people that attended exercise. And that's how we get our funding. So all of the statistics that the My Senior Center does and the information that it takes is super important to the growth of the COA and the Senior Center.
One final request, Holly.
Mhm.
I've been using this My Senior Center for some time now, and one of the pet peeves is that it doesn't work reliably. You go and swipe it, you try to swipe it, and you don't get a response. Would it be possible to have the vendor come in and do the once over, make sure we don't have this problem anymore?
Sure. So we've been working with My Senior Center, and there's a plethora of reasons why sometimes that can happen. If our internet is down a little bit, there could be glitches. If somebody moves the screen and a wire becomes loose, there are glitches. So I can assure you that we have been working with them, and we periodically, myself and Christine and the rest of the staff have swiped their cards, tried to get in. We're cleaning up the activity portion of it. Actually, this week as we speak, Christine started working on it the other day. So again, we can't guarantee that those glitches aren't going to happen because some of them are out of our control, but we definitely have made sure that it's all updated with the new information. As a matter of fact, we're looking into the possibility of purchasing a scanner. So it's just exactly what it sounds like. It's a tiny scanner. It's smaller than your phone. And if there's an activity going on outside, I can walk out with the scanner, ask somebody to show me their key card. I can scan it, and you never even have to come in the building, but we still get that stat that says, oh yes, this happened, that person was there, because I feel as though there's going to be a lot of outdoor activities that we want to make sure that we get credit for the people showing up. And Christine, can you I don't remember exactly what you said that they quoted you on for how much that was. I know it was a couple hundred or something.
Yep, let me just.
One other thing, what about volunteers? They're going to be scanning in too, right?
Everyone is required
Right now,
to
the Meals on Wheels volunteers do not even go inside the building. So
Well,
maybe you're going to use your portable scanner for the Meals on Wheels volunteers.
Meals on Wheels doesn't fall under. Shashi, can you mute? I can hear myself.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. So the Meals on Wheels drivers are not our volunteers. They're Elder Services volunteers. So I do the gas stipends and everything, but that's purely those paper calendars that you guys fill out. We don't track their hours. They don't have to come in and check in. Like you said, they don't enter the building. So that's not necessarily a concern. The women that volunteer in the kitchen, like Trudy and Joyce, do come over. They log in their hours, they scan their cards. They're actually my litmus test sometimes for some changes that I've made to my Senior Center login. And I also have all of our receptionists logging in the morning or in the afternoon when they show up as well. So we have been testing it out. We've implemented the COVID screen, and like Holly said, I'm going in to clean it up because I know it's a little hard to navigate sometimes with so many categories of things going on that aren't necessarily happening at this time. So it is very, very important, as Holly explained, that every single person logs into My Senior Center when they're coming into the Senior Center to utilize programs, to volunteer, anything like that. The Meals on Wheels volunteers, drivers, are not our volunteers and will not be utilizing My Senior Center.
Seems like a shame that they come in every week and there are a bunch of us, and we should be using the facility. We are using the facility under normal circumstances. In the old days, we used to come in and actually pack the material in the kitchen. And it seems like we are using the facility, but we're not being counted towards the total number of people who are using the facility. But that's a procedural thing that needs to be worked out. I don't know how to do it.
Yep. So again, just to reiterate what Christine said. So when I first came on here, it was quickly discovered that the Meals on Wheels volunteers were working for ESWA out of the senior center. And basically that was the ground rules of where that happens. So anything that happens with Meals on Wheels, as I mentioned before, like I have to call them for the nutrition program grant. It has to go through them first. So I agree. It's a shame that there's so many people that are helping us out, but on the other hand, we still have those statistics in another place on how many drivers that ESW has and, and how many clients that they serve. Not necessarily who, but how the numbers matter. But so that's pretty much it in a nutshell for our indoor outdoor activities. We're assuming that once things get going, they'll pick up a little bit, although it's summer, so people are on vacation. So, Christine?
Sorry, I didn't want to lose track. You had asked me how much the scanner was for my senior center. So the cost of the scanner is $820. And then for maintenance fees, they add $100 to our yearly expense, which I believe is 900 and something odd dollars. It's just under $1,000. So it would put us at or around $1,000 a year to utilize the My Senior Center software.
Holly, before you go any further, I got a quick question. It looks as though you had an item, maybe I missed it, the Shrewsbury Housing Authority contract. Did you talk about that?
Sure. Yep. So I'll backtrack a little bit. So I know I received an email from Louise the other day too. So the contract has basically stayed the same as it's been for years and years and years. The only thing that I really tweaked on it was the fact, was the number of the vans. So before it was like COA 19, now it's like, or it was COA 89, now it's COA 19. So it's just the number of the van that's basically changed. And the only other thing that I added was the fact that we have the grant, the taxi delivery grant, where it allows the housing authority or the whole community to call us to request transportation outside of our hours. And I did put that into the contract that that expires before by December 31st, unless we should run out of the funds before that. So those are the only two things that changed. So that we're good for the next year.
Right along.
Sashi? Excuse me.
Go ahead, Louise.
Excuse me, Holly. The money that they're giving has that remained the same?
Yes. Yep. So regardless of COVID or anything like that, so we send them, Cynthia sends them monthly updates on the numbers that the housing authority are using. So that all that money, all the agreed upon monthly checks that come in have still remained the same.
Have they been paying regularly?
Yep, we invoiced them just as we were doing before. The only time that stopped for a little while was when we were completely shut down and we weren't offering transportation. So everything, and that was for the 2 months. So everything has picked up and resumed just as it was prior to COVID.
That's great, because in the past, we have had a lot of problems with getting money and that kind of thing. So it's nice to hear that it's on a regular schedule now. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. So the next thing on the agenda was discuss is the strategic plan. So Christine and I met after we had discussed some of the notes from our last meeting. We haven't had time to make a clean copy yet. So basically what you've received is the revised, and I'm just going to let Christine touch upon this because she did a lot of her man hours on here. So Christine, you want to take that?
Yeah, so just included in there is what we had discussed in the previous meeting, including marking off certain things as ongoing or completed. We did remove a section that no longer applied based off of the feasibility study. Of course, we were a little disappointed we weren't able to do some of the things that we were hoping to do. So just to kind of clean up and make it a little easier to read, we did just remove the feasibility study section of it. I'm not sure if anybody had any direct questions about what was attached. I only included pages 10 through 14. Holly and I have looked at the rest of the document and will kind of assess what the rest of it entails and what applies to our vision going forward based off of our new post-COVID world.
Does anyone have any questions? I think Zoya has a question.
Why was the feasibility study on the building removed?
I don't, can you repeat? I'm not understanding your question.
You know, the feasibility studies on the public buildings? It says this section is no longer applicable. Why was that?
So the feasibility study, if you recall, when the committee was doing all of the buildings, they decided to just go with the police station at this time. So for now, it's tabled.
Okay.
You know, they're not talking about the town hall at the moment anymore. So right now, they're concentrating on the police station. So instead of us keeping that in here, so we can always just say, you know,
Table.
yeah, yep. So we can certainly, you know, add that special word in there.
Yeah.
But right now that's just not happening.
Okay.
Holly, I got a question.
Yeah.
This is just the list of things that are on the strategic plan. But to make the strategic plan itself complete, I think we need a marketing plan and a few other things. I think Louise has some comments about that. What do you think, Louise?
There we go. I have a hard time muting. I didn't find that on my email. I don't have a copy of it. Somehow or other, I missed getting that. Had a hard time finding. I kept losing the email, so I'm not sure just what it is. But I know that there was an action plan, I think it was, and also a marketing plan that we just didn't have finished, that had not been done. I don't know. I know we're doing this peace thing, and it gets kind of hard to understand to put it as with all the rest of the plan. So I don't know what to say. I really, you know, to me, it's better to sit down and discuss these kind of things rather than just to see them accepted and try to understand where everybody else is coming from. If you just see something in writing, you don't know the process by which it was formed. And I would prefer workshop and sit down and go through all this stuff so that we totally understand exactly where this fits in and then who's responsible and who's going to do what and by when it's going to be done and all that kind of stuff that we have talked about before.
I think Holly has a question, or she has a comment or reply.
Yep. So so when Christine and I met to discuss the marketing, I mean the strategic plan, we discussed the marketing plan. So what we were going to do, and of course with everything that's just going on, we haven't had an opportunity yet, is break down and create a marketing plan. Break it down first of all between the services that we offer at the senior center, so outreach, director, programs, and who are we going to target for those individual things, who's going to take care of them, and who's going to follow up. So, you know, there's the outside organizations, there's, you know, the other departments. So our plan was to put something together for at least to have something to look at to then expand on when we meet to sit to discuss the strategic plan, instead of starting from scratch with, 12 people saying this, that, the other thing. At least having us have I'm sorry, just something to work off of. And then going from there. So right now, I would say I'd like to just table this for just a little bit, just because of the transformation that the COA is going under, and will be going under for another month or so. But it is still on, in our vision. It's still our goals to make that. And we know that we need the marketing plan in order to make a successful strategic plan. So that's definitely still, part of our workflow for sure.
All right. So the right now, if I understand you correctly, Holly, this is just talking paper. We're going to go review it. This is not the full strategic plan, is a piece of it.
Oh yeah, this is just a fraction of part of what we discussed at the last time we met. But we wanted to show you that we did clean it up a little bit, some of our edits. But again, with everything that's been happening and our setbacks with making appointments for COVID vaccines and the transition of the senior center, it's like we've had to prioritize, and the strategic plan unfortunately got moved down a little bit, but obviously it's not off of our radar. So we're still planning on doing that. We just wanted to show you the little bit of edits we took away from the last time we met to discuss it.
All right. I think we can move along with the understanding that this is work in progress.
Mhm.
All right. The next item on the list is transportation.
Yep. So Cynthia gave me a rundown of our trips. And now, keeping in mind that the COA has 2 RTA vans and 2 COA vans, and the RTA vans definitely run more than the COAs do. Barbara, I'll share this with you so you don't have to write all these numbers down, because there's quite a few. But I'm just going to go over the total trips. I'm not going to break down the two sets of vans. So January we had 929. February we had 788. March, this is actually, you know what? Excuse me. That was for 2020. I'm going to go to 2021. So for July 2020, we were at 198. For April 2021, we're at 350. That's the most trips in 1 month that we've had since COVID hit. So 350 trips between the 4 COA vans. And as you can assume or predict, those are going to continue to climb, especially now that we have enabled 2 riders on our vans at one time. So those calls are starting to steadily increase, as well as we are trying to just come up with ideas to get our vans out into the community to increase the transportation requests. So in total for FY21 trips, the number was 2,403. And for the Housing Authority, so I only have April here for 2021, but we offered 134 trips to the Housing Authority just for April. So those numbers, we have those numbers. Those are what we submit to the Housing Authority when we do our reports, and just to make sure that we still, abide by our contract that we have with them. Any questions on the transportation piece?
Yes. Matt, any word from the company that sells us the route match? How effective is it now?
Yep. So things are steadily evolving with Route Match. So Route Match was a few months ago, purchased from Uber. Uber bought Route Match. So we we met with our van drivers last week and we talked about concerns, and one of their questions was, they would love to go cashless, not fareless, just cashless. So we contacted Route Match to see what our choices were. And unfortunately, at this time, they only have options for like the larger businesses that offer the software. So they sent it back to us, and it was like $46,000 for just for a sign up, and then $6,000 a year. And Cynthia quickly responded back to them and said, well, what about us? What about our small businesses that we want to make sure that we're evolving with times, but they just don't have anything like that. So I met with the staff. We had our weekly staff meeting yesterday. And put it on everybody's radar that if anybody could come up with, a great idea on how we can go cashless, and maybe people are purchasing tickets or cards or whatever monthly or whatever, we're open to all suggestions, but it's not an easy fix. The other thing Cynthia was looking at was to see, and evidently we did find out, is that we have a vehicle locator. So when the vehicles go out and they have the tablets, we want to be able to, like, if for some reason somebody doesn't respond back to us, we want to be able to go onto the software system and see where they are. So we just learned, so she's starting to educate herself with the Route Match company on us being able to have that. So again, Route Match grows, we grow, and I think Cynthia is doing a good job trying to keep up with everything that she's got to handle. That's a large. She does a lot of service for pretty much a one-man team outside of Donna and Pat that help with the reports and things like that. So it's definitely not an easy task, but she's doing good as far as continuing to educate herself with the software system.
I have a question. There's something that I read that somehow VIA is able to coordinate with WRTA. Are we part of that at all? Can a senior use VIA and then somehow tie it in with our van drivers or anything like that?
Nope. So we're not working with VIA. We're advertising for VIA. Anybody that has a question regarding VIA should contact VIA. They're not part of the COA, but like I said, we do advertise them. I will consistently put it in maybe every other month. It is on our website, our news flashes and things like that, but it's not a COA thing. That VIA is a community opportunity for people to travel throughout Shrewsbury and around the borders.
Okay. One other quick question. The numbers that you listed, the number of drivers, does that include ADA trips?
Yes. So I don't have that split up specifically from Cynthia's report, but yes, that does include ADA. ADA always takes precedence over a regular requested trip.
Now, the reason I ask is taking ADA ADA passengers reduces the number of people you can have because of the wheelchair and what else?
Well, all of our vans are equipped with to utilize wheelchairs, so it really hasn't impeded anything as far as we offer. And now with the taxi livery grant that we have, we use Safeway Transportation Luxury System, and they also offer wheelchair availability. So we don't turn anybody away for any regards. We just may put them in a different vehicle, if you will.
So if you're not able to get a van to a driver, you arrange for a taxi. Is that counted in the number of trips?
Yes.
All right.
Yep. Yep. So all of that matters for sure. Yep. Because all of those requests come through the COA. So we definitely count all of those. The Cynthia is doing the work for all of that.
Oh, good.
Yep.
I have no other questions.
Yeah, so I think the last thing was to just go over new business. And what I want to try to do going forward is to go over the following newsletter with everybody before it comes out. So, so we can, so the board can give any feedback or anything like that. So I did, and I apologize. So typically I usually have this go to print by the 10th, but I was trying to hold off because, obviously we're meeting today. So if we can, I'd like to just go over it quickly. You can, if you don't have it in front of you, I have it in front of me and I can just go over it really quick, page by page. But like I said, just quickly. So the front page is basically kind of saying, hey, we're going to be back open in June. These are the policies. This is what's happening. If you have questions, give us a call. We can't wait to see you. It talks about, everyone, it talks about the My Senior Center, card form, and things like that. So that's did you have a question, Shashi?
No, I'm fine.
So that was the first page. And then on the second page, I'm like, okay, so if we're saying that people should have this My Senior Center card, we should inform them of what it is. And so I spoke really quickly about, what it is, what it does for us, why it's important, as well as what I keep in every single month, the fact that we have the durable DME medical equipment available, as well as the puzzles and things like that. So that's on the second page. The third page continues to talk about the resources, all the important phone numbers that we utilize. Bob Zinkus is offering his trips again, so I mentioned that. The farmers market starts up in June. And it talks about a couple of other, connections that we made over the last month with Summit Elder Care and MedFinder and MedMinder, I'm sorry. So we added that into it. So that was page 3. Page 4, I'm happy to announce that the Memory Cafe will be coming back. So, so it talks a little bit about like the agenda, who will be coming, where it will be. Elizabeth and I kind of worked with Mary Gerber, who's coming back to lead that, to give her some fresh ideas on how to make the, the Memory Cafe a little bit more enjoyable now that there are restrictions because we can't have music, we can't have food, but there are other opportunities that we can offer for Memory Cafe. So we're super excited that that will be coming back. And of course, weather permitting, we could be it outside or, we can have it indoors. So we're happy about that. Page 5 is basically information about the transportation that we offer. What I also included into the June newsletter is now that the fairs will be beginning again in July, what I did was I added just a little graph of how much it costs the riders to come in wherever they're going, so they understand how much money it will be. As well as introducing the van drivers again, because I think it's super important that they're seen. So they'll continuously be in each month newsletter, because I think it's always nice to have a face before you meet somebody. So super important about that. So that's the transportation part. Page 6 goes over the activities that we have so far for the month of June. We're expecting that can change, obviously. One of the things that people will notice when they come into the senior center, is when you first walk in through the side door, we've put up a giant dry erase calendar where it will show all of the activities happening. That way we can easily erase or add things. So it'll be for the whole entire month, and that's what will be on that board alone. Makes it easy too. If somebody calls, somebody can just go look. Well, actually, Christine she's a little OCD on her programming on where people find all of the information, but we'll have it on the whiteboard. She made up a notebook for the receptionists and for all of the staff, so we can go and refer to that if somebody calls. So like I said, so that's going on. Page 7 introduces all of us as always, and mentions the programs that Elizabeth mentioned earlier, because we want to get that the word out. The only thing that I did not put in that I need to add into there are the 2 days in June that people could come and pick up. So I'll add that in before this goes to print. So it talks about the Senior SALT program, and it talks about the Walking Vest program. Page 8 is library information, as we always include. Page 9 is primarily information from the Board of Health. Specifically now, this is tick time. So there's some information regarding tick care and how to avoid. Page 10 is our menu. Page 11 is the one that I want to talk briefly about. So we decided that before everybody goes on vacation and the fact that June is opening up, so people can come inside the senior center, we wanted to be able to offer something to kind of say, hey, we miss you. This is what's going on. So what we decided was we want to have this event, and it's called the Summer Kickoff Shrewsbury Senior Outdoor Open House. And basically what that would consist of, so we picked a Wednesday, June 16th from 11 to 2. It would be here at the senior center up in the front area where it's all gated off. We contacted Juniper Farms. They're an ice cream place located out of, I believe they're Westminster. And we thought, you know what, we have enough money in our, gift account to offer a free event where we could just pay for the ice cream of anybody that comes up, for 3 hours. It's a novelty ice cream truck, so it's all of the things that we all remember when we were small and the things that attract the kids now. And we have a couple of giveaways. So with all of the giant purchases that we've made from Uline with the picnic tables and Elizabeth's Shared Winter Streets, we were able to get some free gifts. So there'll be free giveaways if people put their name and emails and stuff like that down. So, that always attracts everybody. As well as we want to have goodie bags also for everybody that shows up. So each goodie bag would have things in it like a file of life card, our most recent up-to-date newsletter, and any other kind of promotional doodads that we can find that we think that would be proper for inside there. And as well as we want to invite our senior affiliates. So who is that? That would be the people that we've worked with especially closely through COVID, and anybody else that's interested. Orchard Grove, Whittier Rehab, Griswold Care, Summit Elder Care, MedMinder, all of those people, and allow them to set up a small table outside to kind of, show the things that they have if they have promotional giveaways. This is going to be a rain or shine event is what we decided. If it is shine, not much to have to really worry about because it's all going to be outside and we'll monitor people coming in to use the facilities or anything like that. If it's rain, how we decided that we would do it is we would open up the area between side room A and B. So it would be one giant area. All of the senior affiliates would be around the perimeter of the A and B. So people would be allowed to come in, spaced out at a time, walk around all of the tables, and then come back out. So you're not able to come and just kind of linger around the lobby area. So it's a come in, see what everybody has, and walk out, go get your free ice cream. So we will, and regardless of how that happens, we'll be ready for it, and we'll have this, the signs put up, 6 feet of spatial distancing. We'll have monitors that make sure that people aren't overcrowding or anything like that. We want to invite the other departments to come on over too, because I really feel like there's so much information right now that has changed from when we were open with all the departments, that it's super important for the community to see that we're all working together. And like I said, we're just looking for one just nice event to kick off summer and, wish everybody, well, and see some familiar faces. And keeping in mind, no food permitted in the senior center, but that's something that we really would like to do. But I wanted the feedback of the board before we went and put that out to the public.
2 questions.
Yep.
One is, do you intend to include Elder Services of Worcester area in one of your presenters?
Yes, so I couldn't name everybody, but yes, certainly we'll invite everybody that we talk to on a daily basis, and they can come out, and it includes everybody, anybody that wants to. As a matter of fact, I think even Christine was looking in to see how much the mascot from Woosocks would cost to come out and kind of wave to everybody, try to get that younger generation happy. Although I would love to see that too. So, so yeah, so uh, it could be a very big event, but again, I will always reiterate to everybody that if it ends up raining, there might be some, some changes.
I have one more question, but that's not directly related.
Mhm.
And that is, I'm sure the seniors wanting to know, the ones who used to come to the senior center for a blood pressure check. Is that going to be available anytime in the future?
Not at
There?
So we have contacted some of those people, like Shine, the podiatrists, the nurses and things like that. They have not yet received word on their end that they can come into facilities yet. So basically we're waiting on them. I've already given them the invitation. So just waiting for them to get the clearance from their management.
I think Zoya had a question.
It was the same question. I wanted to know about the podiatrist and the optician, whether they would be coming in. So it was
Yeah.
Holly answered.
Louise.
Ally,
Go ahead.
would you have a little space for my 21 for 21 from the Friends?
Yes, so I did actually already speak to Maria. I called her yesterday when we were kind of putting this together because I know that the Friends of are kind of reorganizing themselves. So Maria was super happy to hear that we were, talking about possibly having this event. And she actually did mention bringing out flamingos, I guess, that she used to use. And she was going to put a sign out that said, "Welcome back, flock." And I think she was going to even start bringing up the fundraiser where you can actually flock somebody, their yards and stuff. So she was going to put the flamingos outside. So I've already been in contact with the Friends of, and of course, Maria, where her spunk comes from, I'm not sure, but I love it.
No, I mean in the newsletter. Do you have a little space for the article?
So I don't have any space left over in this newsletter, but there is, so I didn't get to the Friends of page yet. So if I could just do that really, really quick. So it went to a Father's Day word search because Father's Day is in June. The page 13 is talking about, food opportunities, the Lasagna Love Again, ESWA, a food pantry. And on page 14, it's words from the Friends. And it mentions how a few of the Friends members went over to Southgate and celebrated the birthdays of those that were, 100 or over,
Yeah.
along with a picture. So that's what the section that the Friends of is about in June. So
But nothing mentioned about 21, the article I gave you in March. Nothing.
So we did run the 21 for 21 for 2 months
No,
consecutive.
the one that I rewrote and gave you.
So that went into the, I don't remember what newsletter, but it's not for June, but I did revise that one. I don't remember if it was for March. I thought it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had just another question too, talking about the Friends. The shed that you're talking about out in the back, is that the Friends shed?
No. So the shed is the one that was donated from Chief Joseph. So right now there's a few like decorative.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just didn't know if that was the Friends shed.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Shashi, you're on mute.
That's good. Betsy, you're on.
So I just wanted to say, Holly, I think it sounds like a terrific idea for so many different reasons. To bring awareness to our entire community about the senior center and the services that we offer, to offer a really fun day for our seniors. I just think it's a terrific idea and should be right at the top of the list of the marketing plan.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have anything left on the agenda? I think. Is there anything left on your list, Holly?
Nope, the talking about the newsletter was my new business. That's primarily, that was it.
All right. If there is nothing else to discuss, we've reached our time is now 11:03. And if someone wants to make a motion to adjourn,
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All right, I'll take a roll call vote. Sawyer,
Yes,
Louise,
Yes,
Betsy,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes,
the meeting is adjourned. And thank you, Holly, for bringing the place back to life.
Yeah. Yes.
And thank you, Elizabeth, and good luck. And to you also, Christine.
Oh,
Meeting is
yeah.
adjourned.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. You guys stay well and we'll be in touch with updates.
okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.